Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Tech Talk today. Before we get started, I first want to just mention that we're going to change things up on you just a little bit. Instead of holding all the questions and answers to the end of the session, we want to make this a little bit more interactive today. So we would really ask you to submit your questions along the way as Amber Vanderburg goes through her talk today, so that we can keep it very interactive and answer your questions as we go through the session for the next hour. So first of all, I want to welcome Amber, and I just want to say that it is such a privilege to introduce her because she is joining us from Tulsa, Oklahoma, where she is the founder of the Pathways Group. And the Pathways Group does some really cool stuff. They work with international teams and organizations in a way that really instills collaboration, creativity, and captainship. Captainship. I think that's probably going to be a term that we're going to learn a lot about today. And they do that across teams within organizations, global organizations, to really inspire greater performance. And we all know that we're in a time today where we could really use a lot of this boost, a lot of this encouragement and enthusiasm as we're working through where we are today as a company. I want to tell you a little bit more to something that for me personally, as a fellow blonde, that I think it's really cool that Amber comes with some experience as the only American elite football coach for the Adidas Game Day Academy and Paris Saint-Germain Academy in Bangalore, India, back in 2016. When she had this experience, she actually worked with the international team of coaches to really help them transform their organizational design, their training, what they could do for professional and personal development, and also how that would impact and the things that they could do to really improve corporate culture and cultivate that higher performing team. So the other thing I want to note is that Amber also comes with the credibility with the background of being an HR director. She's implemented some best practices in organizations of all sizes, domestically and internationally. And she's really, you'll see today, she really has that passion to help teams mobilize their ideas, take them and really work through the ways that they can exceed goals and change some mindsets and really affect some change. So I just want to now take an opportunity to turn it over to Amber. We're going to have an action-packed journey with her today, so be prepared to be engaged. And remember, bring your questions throughout the talk today instead of waiting to the end when we typically would have a Q&A session. All right, I'm handing it off to you, Amber. Welcome.
All right, thank you so much for that warm welcome, Sarah. Yeah, thank you so much for the welcome and glad to be here. So we're going to start off. I have a challenge that I want you to engage in. So first, I want you to give me double pointer fingers. I'm going to tell you what not to do first. All right, give me double pointer fingers. Okay, don't want to do double pointer fingers. Give me double thumbs up. Okay, no, we don't want double thumbs up. That does away. What about finger pistols? All right, we don't want any finger pistols. We'll put those away. We don't want any of that. This is what I want you to do. I want you to give me one pointer finger and one thumbs up. One pointer finger, one thumbs up. All right, on the count of three, I want you to switch your hands. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Hey, that's a finger pistol. All right, we're gonna switch again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And again, and again, and again. Faster, faster, faster. Oh, very good. So I see some of you, you might be thinking, Amber, I can't do that. Amber, this is really uncomfortable. This is really challenging. Well, I'll tell you, whenever I first was challenged to do this hand trick, I also thought, man, this is really challenging. I can't do this. But what I found is that if I took it a little bit slower, if I take it one step at a time, there was power in saying, I can't do that yet. And the more that I practiced step by step, the easier this change became. And the quicker I was able to impress my friends and family with with my hand trick. All right, I can give you, all right, very good. So I want you can be practicing that as we are going through our sessions today. I know that before this session, you were asked a question and we got some really cool answers about what you would like to change. It may not be learning how to change from a pointer finger to a thumbs up, but what you would like to change within your organization, within your team, within your life. And we actually got a wide variety of answers. So I want to thank everyone that took the time to give their answers. We had some people that talked about things that they would like to change within their organization, some things they would like to change within their personal household. I'm going to ask that question again, give you an opportunity. If you didn't answer via email, give you an opportunity right now to write into the chat. What is something that you would like to change? What is something that you would like to change? This can be something within the organization, within your specific team, or it doesn't have to be work related. It could be a change that you're wanting to instill within your personal life, within your household. Whether you write it in the chat or not, that's okay. If you want to keep it private, you can do that as well. I want you to think of one specific thing, though, that you want to change. Now, I work with a lot of teams as we are leading change. And as I work with these different teams, I find that there are a few different trends, a few different journeys that happen in any change journey. This is a very typical, very predictable within our change journeys. So the first part of our change journey is that there is a season of generating ideas. So here you can see that our ideas are expanding. We're coming up with a whole lot of ideas. The options are expanding. And then there is a season of narrowing, right? So a season to expand and a season to narrow. This could be within your thoughts, within your actions, within your ideation. We don't want to spend only time expanding our ideas. We also want to spend time narrowing. This is a process, right? We need to go back and forth as we are coming up with new ideas on how to lead our change. Another trend that I find is an emotional trend. So here we have three major emotions that we go through. So first, we have hope. We have hope for the change that can come, hope for what is to come within this change initiative. And then the emotion might slip into a bit of maybe frustration, maybe realization as we have insight into, wow, these are some of the major challenges that we may face in this change initiative. This insight is generally where we hit these obstacles. But as we overcome these obstacles emotionally, we enter into a season of more confidence. We've overcome an obstacle and we can more confidently move forward in our journey. Some of you may be a bit more familiar with design thinking. So here, this is a journey where we have ideation. We go through, we have inspiration, ideation, and then implementation. So here we're getting inspired, we have an idea, and then we implement those ideas. We're going to work specifically in this trend today. Now notice all of these trends, some are emotional, some is ideation. The fourth trend that I find that teams go through, this is from Bruce Tuckman. He talks about the process of a team. Talks about how teams go through forming. We all come together. Then we go through a storming phase. We say, hey, how are we going to work together? What's going to be our processes, our methods, our projects, and our roles? Next, we have our norms, right? So this is actually wherever we decide what the norms are going to be for our team. And it's from this forming, storming, norming process that we're able to perform at our highest level. And then we finally adjourn. So adjourning is where we have a retrospective and we say, hey, what went well? What can go a little bit better? What are we going to start, stop, and continue?
Amber, we have a couple of folks that brought up some items that they'd like to explore. So,
Yeah.
time management was one, and the other was rate of attrition and team morale. Those are some things that they'd like to see changed.
Oh, these are fantastic change ideas, change initiatives that are in mind. Uh, and here's what I like specifically about these examples, Sarah, is these examples are uh, change initiatives that are beyond oneself. I firmly believe that if you can achieve all of your dreams all on your own, then you're probably not dreaming big enough. If we're going to do something bigger than ourselves, we need to include someone bigger than ourselves. So I really appreciate those examples that are being given because there's something that we can collectively work forward in these change initiatives. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you for the examples that were given in the chat. Again, I want you to choose one of those change initiatives whether that be time management, rate of attrition, team morale. It could be changing up your morning routine. So I want you to pick a change initiative. Uh, Pick a change initiative. Now, what is the number one reason why change initiatives stay in one form, in one process? They may stay in this ideation phase and never actually move to implementation. Some teams may stay in this storming phase. They're constantly having conversation, but never actually decide on the norms so that they can perform at a higher level. Some teams may get stuck in this insight phase where we see all of the obstacles and we don't take the step to move into that confidence phase. These are natural trends of teams. It's natural trends of individuals that are leading change initiatives. The goal is to effectively move from one stage to the next. And the incentive to move from one stage to the next is to have a sense of urgency. Now, for some of you, this might sound a bit familiar. This is a popular concept coined by change leader John Kotter. That's Kotter. So John Kotter talks about how change begins with a sense of urgency. And there's a few reasons why we might have a sense of urgency. So there's four major reasons that Kotter outlines. The first is that we bring in someone from the outside. You might bring in someone like me from the outside of the team to bring forth new ideas, to bring forth uh, different insights. They might be bringing forth the same insights that you've seen, but you're bringing in somebody from the outside. The second is that your team continuously operates in a change habit. So you habitually change. This is something that that you can do to make change stick. The third is crisis. We've seen this within COVID, of course. We have a crisis mode, and that is a sense of urgency for us to change. And then the fourth incentive for change is to deal with the no-nos. So these are people that are extremely adverse to change. So these are a few reasons of why someone might have a sense of urgency within their change initiative. So I have a question for you. I want you to look specifically at the change initiative that you had in mind. And I want you to identify the sense of urgency in moving forward in that change initiative today. Time management, that's a great example. What happens if you don't do anything to change your time management? Why do you want to make those changes today? What happens if you wait a week? What happens if you wait a few months? What is the sense of urgency that you need to act today to begin moving from ideation to implementation in that change initiative? You can write that down in your piece of paper. If you want to, you can also put that in the chat. Help other people see some of those change, the sense of urgency within their change initiatives. I'm seeing some, yeah, keeping it interactive. Yeah, I know that COVID was a really good sense of urgency for many teams. For some, it could be uh, new leadership. For some, it could be if you're looking at health changes or time management changes, it could be, hey, I missed a few deadlines. That's a really big incentive, a sense of urgency for me to start managing my time uh, a little bit differently.
Another
Mhm.
thing that comes to mind, Amber, is missed opportunity, right? For my own personal
Mhm.
development and my own personal growth.
That's a great example, Sarah. Absolutely. And sometimes those missed opportunities, they may come out of crisis, right? Or dealing with those no-nos also. Very similar. Yeah, those are great examples. So I'm pausing just for a moment for people to write that down and come up with those ideas. Sometimes that sense of urgency might not be um, front in mind, right? So it's a tough question to deal with initially. Perfect. So our first step is to have that sense of urgency, but change does not end there. There's a few more things that we can do. Second thing that we can do is build our team. This is going to be the team of people that can help champion our change initiative's success. Said it before, I'll say it again. If we can achieve all of our dreams all on our own, we're probably not dreaming big enough. We want to do something bigger than ourselves. We have to include more than ourselves. And so this is a big challenge I'm going to give you, okay? Here is what I want you to do. On your piece of paper, I want you to write down 10 people, 10 people who can help champion your change initiative today. 10 people. Now, this could be family, friends, coworkers, the librarian. This could be uh, people within an online network that can give us some resources. I'll give you an example. I was had some financial goals within our company, and so I actually took some time and wrote down people that would be good resources that could help me in this specific goal, specific change initiative. Could be a resource and could help champion my success. So I want you to take just a minute. 10 may seem like a lot. I want you to write down 10 people who can help champion your success. Give you just a minute because I know that's a big question to write down the people that will champion your success.
And that's a long list, Amber, 10 people. That's really hard. But, I also think about mentors, both, professionally as well as personally. I think about other friends, maybe even, some of my best friends can give me some of the greatest encouragement and greatest ideas that when I'm in a work setting, I don't always think about that they might have similar experiences because sometimes when we're going through a lot of change, we feel like we're on an island, and so sometimes we want to go, it's most familiar to go to those that know us best. But then also sometimes it's good to go to those that don't, because sometimes we, even though we may want to hear kind of what we want to hear are the things that are easy, that's not always the best, right? So I love that it's a long list. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes I've done this and I'll challenge 15, 20, right? So sometimes it's a very long list depending on the nature. A- and I want to expand on what you said in the importance of having not only specific work people. Championing someone's success can mean championing the emotional. If you're taking on a very big project, you may need some emotional support. It could be that social support. So we're looking at this single change initiative from many angles. I'll give a specific example. Uh, there may be people on the call that have family or we've worked with many parent groups and actually writing down, okay, who can help champion the success of of the other people in my family, of children. And that's really empowering to see who is all on your guiding team. These are the people who can help champion this success. And that can be whether it be a change initiative or a goal that you're working towards as well.
I love that concept of a guiding team. When I think about, the people that are most important in my life, my husband, my family, and some of my friends, there's also sort of that same list within my professional development as well. And then to have that mix and that combination of a guiding team is always a balance between those that we know are going to have the tough love, right? Those that are going to tell us the things that we may not really want to hear and expose some of our blind spots. So I love that guiding team concept. That's great. I hadn't heard that before.
Oh, I love that. Perfect. Um, I hope that this has given you some time to write down some people that are in your guiding team. And again, this can be guiding team for a specific success, specific change initiative that you're working towards. And if you want to take this prompt, personally, I do this quite a bit. I'll take specific prompts of areas that I like to grow, that I would like to grow in, areas where I would like to develop those guiding teams as well. So uh,
We do have a
uh,
couple,
I'm seeing a
Amber.
couple of
So
questions coming in. Yeah.
yeah, the regarding the attrition rate. So losing key team members that affects morale and productivity.
Um, I'm so sorry. I can't. Losing team members to attract. Yes. Um, so I'm going to assume that that is the change initiative that is being addressed. So I love that that is a sense of urgency. So losing key team members and affecting morale and productivity, yeah, that's a very strong sense of urgency I need to be mindful of moving forward. So, what better sense of urgency than to create a positive work environment for the teams of having that high attrition, having that high retention rate within our teams. That's a great
Yeah,
example.
for sure. And another one is the sense of urgency around time management could be meeting deadlines or providing valuable products to clients in a timely manner.
Oh, that's huge. If we are not meeting our deadlines or providing value to our clients, then eventually we won't have clients. So, so that's a huge incentive, a huge sense of urgency to have that proper time management. So it's fantastic. Great examples. These are wonderful examples that are being given. So we have created our sense of urgency. We have developed our guiding team. Now it's time to develop the vision. Now you might be thinking, Amber, I thought vision was the first part of change management, well, or change leadership. First, we have to have that sense of urgency. Is this priority? What are we moving towards? And who's going to be on our guiding team? Next, we're going to develop the vision. Now, there's a few ways that you can develop the vision. Here is a quick activity. I hope everyone has had their piece of paper out ready to go. Um, so this is what I want you to do for your vision. I want you to take out a piece of paper, drawing really quick. I want you to take out a piece of paper and I want you to draw one line horizontally and one line vertically. This can be a small piece of your page. It doesn't have to be the whole page. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about your change initiative. And I want you to draw. That's right, I said draw. Recognizing that I don't expect anyone to be an artist, and you can keep this to yourself if you want. But I want you to draw what a successful change initiative looks like to you. So let me give. Let's use one of the examples that were given here. So we want to improve our we'll look at time management. All right. So we want to improve our time management. So that might look like um give a couple examples. So that might look like the reports being done in a timely manner, right on the dot, not 5 minutes past, not 10 minutes past, right on the dot. So this is what this is going to look like. Success may look like happy customers. Here they are smiling, right? Success in successful time management, what's that impact going to be? It's going to be streamlined work. Maybe there's a lot of bottlenecks within our work. So here, this is a streamlined process. Maybe that's a big reason why that there's bottlenecks within our time. Okay. So here are a few examples of what success may look like. So maybe at the end of this change initiative, we're going to have happier customers. We're going to have projects coming out in a timely manner. We're going to have streamlined processes. And maybe a result is that we're able to help more people. And so here I am. I'm going to draw. This is more people that we're able to help, right? So this is a quick example of this is what success in this project looks like. Now I'm using pictures. Sometimes if you want to use words, you can, but sometimes words are a bit tricky. Words may fail me on what I'm trying to express. This is what this actually looks like to me. So I want you to take a minute. You should spend about 30 seconds per box. You're gonna draw 4 pictures of what success looks like in this change initiative. If you have a specific change initiative, let's say you want to implement a specific project, this could be pictures in terms of quality, in terms of timelines, in terms of impact on people. All right, I want you to think about all of the different possible um, definitions of a success and impact within your team. So we're looking at two, right? What is success and what is successful impact within your team? This is also a challenging activity, but it is powerful to actually see a vision of what this change initiative may look like. Just a moment. I'm seeing some questions coming in. Sometimes, whenever we are developing our vision for what successful change looks like, it can be easy to stop at the first uh, explanation. So, we want to have better attrition so that we can have a positive work environment. Yes, but um, what does that great retention look like within our team? Right? What's the image of what that looks like? What's the vision of what that looks like? And here we're able to clearly communicate what that vision is. I love the example of Walt Disney whenever he was building uh, parts of Disney World and Epcot. Some said that he passed away before he was able to see everything come to fruition. And many of the workers there were quick to point out, he saw it. It was his vision of what was to come. So he was able to see the vision very clearly. To be able to cast that vision, we first must develop the vision clearly. Perfect. Great. So I've given you a bit of time to draw those different pictures and to think about what does that vision mean? What does success look like? I'm giving you a few different prompts or angles to look at that in terms of timelines, impact, um, and a vision for a successful change initiative. We can't develop the vision and then keep it to ourselves. The next thing that we have to do is to communicate for buy-in, communicate for buy-in. So this is our next step according to Cotter's change model. So the next thing we have to do is communicate for buy-in. Dr. Mark Rutland, he is quick to point out that an excellent message, excellent communication is defined as the right message delivered to the right audience in the right way at the right time. Say that again. Excellent communication is the right message delivered to the right audience in the right way at the right time. And if you can meet all four of those objectives within your communication, then you'll be in a position to clearly communicate your message in a meaningful way. Many times we may have the vision, we see the sense of urgency, but we have to be able to communicate to our audience in a way that they can relate to. We have to be able to speak their language. Why should they care? What is their sense of urgency to buy into this idea? So I want you to write down or think about, you can think about this one, you don't have to write down, but what is the right message delivered to the right person who should be included in this conversation? What's the best way to communicate this message? And what's the best time? Uh, I can tell you right now, communicating big information to me closer to my bedtime. Oh, I'm ready for bed. I'm not a huge night person, but I actually wake up very awake in the morning. So early in the morning, that's actually a really good time to communicate with me.
Hey, Amber, so I'm
Oh,
ready
good.
to share mine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
I'll just say it's not pretty and it's not colorful like yours. So let me just kind of give you give you a little bit of background. So what I chose was just having success in my work-life balance and exercise. So here's my, I don't
Ooh.
know how you can see that. I
Oh
don't
no, I
know.
think it's
Blake, can you
blurry
help
with the
us out?
background.
Yeah, let me see if I can fix that. Um, but what I love so much was like taking it beyond this point and talking about or thinking about the people, right? My messaging, because with my initiative, it actually has a lot to do with my family. So
Hmm.
yeah. So give me a second here. I'm going to show this. All right. Life, exercise, balance. Myself included, we've really struggled during the pandemic. And there's so many people that I've talked to in, just different facets. And so for me, it's like becoming heart healthy. Thankfully, I am heart healthy, but if I continue on some of these habits and these paths, over time, I may not be. And as a result of that, my activities increased, right? I'm going to be able to run farther, run longer, be more active, and be more enthusiastic when the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. to get up and go do that walk or do that exercise, do that workout or that high intensity workout or that long run, and that makes my family happy, and then I'm going to be able to sleep a lot better. I just know with all those things, I'm going to be able to sleep a lot better, and when I sleep better, it makes everybody happy. So being able to communicate that to my husband, to my family, and the messaging around that is really important based on whomever it is that I'm talking to. So this is really fun. Thank you for pushing us to really think differently and think about all those layers and the people that are involved in what we need to change. That's great.
I appreciate how on the surface level, okay, I'm going to work out a bit more. It does impact so many people, and so I love that you were able to go a bit deeper. And uh, one thing that I noticed, Sarah, was how the sense of urgency, developing the vision, communicating for buying, they have a bit of overlap, but it's a different way to look at the concept each time. So we're able to go deeper into a specific concept of who is impacted, what's that sense of urgency, what does that vision of success look like, and how should I communicate that to my audience? So it may be similar, but you're able to go deeper and approach different angles of the same question each time.
Yeah, and it's important to take into consideration the people, right? And the message, because the message may be different for different people, either in our team, in our family, across the organization. It's gonna change.
Mhm. Absolutely. And one thing that I'll go back to my pieces of paper everywhere. I'll go back to this piece of paper. This has really been transformative in the way that I adopt my communication if I am communicating to my audience. So I'll go through the question of each one. So I'll look at the messaging according to my audience. What is the right message that I need to give? How can I craft that in a way that meets their expectations and their understanding? And then who should be in the room, who should be in the conversation, and maybe who doesn't need to be in the conversation, right? So looking at the audience and the audience analysis, so we're doing that baseline of what do they know, why should they care, what's their investment. Looking at the way, now this is something that, in my opinion, is becoming more and more important as our ways of communication and methods of communication are expanding and evolving significantly. So it used to be that our methods of communication was a letter and talking in person. And that was really, that was it. Now we have limitless uh, methods of communication. So recognizing if I have a highly emotional conversation that I need to have with an individual, then sending a text probably isn't going to be my best way of communication. Maybe I need to be a bit more personal here. So identifying the right way and then the timing. Now I want to expand on timing as well. Timing can be timing can be both the time of day, the time of the week, but also the time that you allocate for conversation. Let me expand on that. If you are communicating with your team, you're expanding with other stakeholders, and you say, okay, well, we have about 5 minutes for questions, and this is a very complex, highly emotional conversation, then you haven't created the time or the space for that meaningful conversation. So whenever I'm looking at the time, I'm looking at not only the time, the physical time of day or the time of the week. I'm also looking at the time that I am allowing for conversation, the time that I am creating for questions and follow up as well. So getting very in depth in each one of these four areas as I am prepared to communicate for buy-in. Uh, a great example may be, hey kids, I'm going to go to bed at an earlier hour because I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's probably not wise for us to start a movie at 10 o'clock at night. So, so I'm going to be going to bed. Well, that might be a little bit of conversation, maybe not. But if there's going to be time for conversation, we need to make sure that we've allocated for that.
That's great. That's really great, Amber. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, we've gone through a few steps. We've gone through about, 4 steps so far. We have had our sense of urgency, created our guiding team, developed our vision, now communicated for buy-in. The next step is that we empower action. We're going to empower action. We should not be the only change agents within our initiatives. Here, we can allow other people and empower other people to have a role in this change story. I'll say that again. How can you empower action? How can you empower other people to play a role in this change transformation? Now, if you're looking at something like attrition or looking at retention, there's going to be a lot of people that can be involved in creating culture and looking at org design. So here you're looking at many people that can empower action. Let's say we're looking at creating better heart health within our family. This is something that we can empower action within our family. Right? So we can include them in this story, bring them into the journey, and increase that buy-in and You're going to allow other people, you're going to allow a part in the story. They're going to be able to bring in their insights, their strengths. Um, uh, this is the beauty of diversity within our teams and within our communities. They're going to be able to bring in their insights as we are empowering action.
Hey, so Amber, we have another couple of images that we should highlight here. So Brad brought us some ideas around, some of the results with his change initiative with retaining and growing teams creates happy team members. And then that retention creates a greater growth of knowledge, which I think that is so true. It seems so many times these things seem really obvious, but I think until we take a pause like this and think about it and put some of our thoughts down and really come up with some of those images, it might not take shape, right? And then we maybe become even more compelled and more excited about getting more involved and really pushing or starting to communicate and develop that change initiative across our team, across the company, across other groups. I
Love
just
that.
wanted to make sure you saw that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Brett. This is fantastic. Yeah, I love the pictures, and we can actually tie this into this action. So we've developed a vision. Now we can specifically look, how can we empower action for more effective knowledge management? So now we're even being more specific in our vision. How can we empower action for others to help champion this vision as well? So now we're being even more specific in the questions that we're asking, more catered to get down to those action steps. Those are great. Thank you so much for sharing, Brad. Okay, so right now, up until this point, we've done a lot of thinking. We've done a lot of planning. We haven't really yet taken an action step yet of doing the change. So our next step is to build momentum through small wins. The worst thing that you can do is to come up with this big change initiative and then try to achieve it all overnight. So let's use Sarah's example. The worst thing to do is say, okay, I'm going to be more conscious of my heart health. So I'm going to start running 10 miles every day. I'm going to be on a very strict diet. I'm going to do all of these initiatives all at the same time. If that is the approach, then the change initiative is less likely to be successful. So we want to build momentum through small wins. Here's what I want you to do. I want you, up until this point, we've had these big ideas of this is what the change initiative is. I want you to take a moment and I want you to break those down into small action steps, small sustainable action steps, small sustainable goals. This is a dev team. Yeah, we could call these smaller user stories if we're looking at more dev. Um, yeah, so think of this if you're doing more agile, it could be smaller user stories. I want you to do smaller user stories in these change initiatives. Some time on this one. I'll give a specific example using Brad's vision of success. So retaining and growing team. We were working with a team recently, and their small action step to build momentum through small wins was to have everybody acknowledge somebody in the team, say hello in the morning. That was a thing. So we found that there were people that were coming in, they were logging in and not speaking to anyone else within the team. So the small action step said, you know what? We're going to make it a habit. This is our small sustainable step we're going to repeat over time, is to say hello to someone within our team every day. That's a really small action step. It was transformative in building momentum through a small win.
I love that, Amber, because that is just something that I think so many times we take for granted. And maybe, that's something that just the very first thing in the morning, we can see, who's already online, even make a phone call to them, just to kind of do a quick check-in with people and see how their evening was, or what their day is shaping up to look like, or even do that over maybe a quick lunch break. I think people really appreciate that. And so many, I mean, that's so simple. It's just so simple. And sometimes we forget about the really simple.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really easy to say, okay, we need team building. We want to do a massive event. Let's do these quick few minutes every day. This is going to build momentum in those small actions. Um, the so there is a balance between mega events and micro events. So a mega event would be running a marathon. So that would be your big event. But a big event, a mega event, is significantly less likely to be successful without a series of micro events, your daily jog, that builds up the momentum, builds up the habits that allow that mega event to be a success. So the big change initiative, that can be considered the mega event. Now we have to break those down into what micro steps do we need to take to get to that mega event. It's huge. And for many of us, many of the examples that were given, that mega event is not necessarily an event, it's a continuous destination. And that's great, right? And that actually brings me to we have 2 steps left, which is don't let up. It's very tempting as we are starting our change initiatives, as we start building our small wins, and we're building that momentum, to be content in those small wins. Say, okay, well, we've done something, we've gotten a few wins, and then we begin to relax a little. We begin to sit back a bit and we get comfortable because we've made some progress, but we haven't yet met the goal. We haven't yet completed or succeeded in our original aim. So build momentum from those small wins, and then don't let up. Don't get comfortable and lean back in in those few steps forward. You don't want to take a few steps forward and then take many steps back. Okay? So don't let up. And then I encourage you to make change stick. If this sounds familiar, this goes back to the very beginning whenever I said sense of urgency. One of the senses of urgency is to act with urgency every day. And this is not a panicked, oh my gosh, I have to do something, but this is having a bias towards action. And sometimes that action is planning, right? It is, all right, we're doing something to progress forward. So make change stick. You might be listening to this and think, okay, Amber, this sounds cool, but I might not be in a position to, I may not be in a position in which I am in authority. I may not be in charge in my team, in my organization. Maybe your change initiative was something with a community project, a community organization, or something in the company. encourage you a book that I actually finished earlier today. But this is a book I would highly recommend. It's called How to Lead When You're Not in Charge. It's a book by a man named Clay Scroggins. Here, I'll give you the book right here. How to Lead When You're Not in Charge. And without giving away too many spoilers, I'll give you a quick synopsis of some things that he really challenges us to be mindful of as we are leading change. Now, I want you to look at these 8 steps, this mindful uh, action, planning and action steps. And I want you to be mindful of Clay Scroggins' principles of how to lead when you're not in charge. He first encourages us to lead yourself. All right. So, this is the concept of leadership. We're going to begin leading others. We have to begin by leading ourselves. Go through this process of enacting change, having that bias towards change within ourselves, within our personal action. Here's a second encouragement for us to choose positivity. Sorry, an accent came out there. Choose positivity. To choose positivity. Here we are acknowledging obstacles, right? So you can acknowledge obstacles, but acknowledging obstacles does not mean that we just stop the race. I used to be a Division I track and field athlete, and I did not do hurdles. You did not want me doing that, but I had to practice them every once in a while. And I realized that acknowledging where the hurdles are, that doesn't mean that you stop the race. Acknowledging a hurdle prepares you to jump. It prepares you to maneuver, and it prepares you to confront those obstacles, those hurdles that are coming forward. We're going to choose positivity. Here, we are acknowledging what is ahead and we're preparing to jump. We're preparing to maneuver, moving forward. He also encourages us to think critically. Now, there's a fine line between thinking critically and criticizing. Thinking critically is asking the questions, asking, what if we did this? Could we do this? Here, we are approaching our collaboration sessions by asking tough questions to improve overall performance. Okay, I'll say that again. We're asking tough questions, but our intent, the purpose is not to criticize, it's to progress overall performance. And then finally, we're going to reject passivity. So it's very similar to being positive. So we're going to reject passivity. So just sitting back and not having any change at all. How to lead when you're not in charge. We're going to reject passivity. We're going to continue acting with change within our everyday. So I'll let you read the book if you care to, but these are some really good ideas of how to lead even whenever you're not in charge. You can be empowered to move forward. So we have just a couple minutes left. Hopefully you've been able to go through this process and come up with a game plan for a specific change initiative that you have in your mind. Now, just to give you a short overview of what we've done today, for those of you who were taking notes, the first thing is we got sense of urgency. The second thing that we did is we built our guiding team. Next, we developed a vision. Then we communicated for buy-in. The journey did not end there. Next, we empowered action, and then we created short-term wins. Don't let up, and then make change stick. These are 8 specific steps that you can use, whether that be in your personal life, your professional life. You can use these on a small scale, on a grand scale, to help lead change, to help create the future. You can help actually shape and mold what, you can actually shape and mold what that future is going to be. I want to give you a quick example of what this looked like in a what this looked like whenever I was leading a change initiative, whenever I was the only American, was the only female, the only blonde uh, academy football coach or soccer coach for the Adidas Game Day Academy and Paris Saint-Germain Academy in Bangalore, India. So the first thing that we did is acted, we actually came into the team and found that we could improve our team performance by changing the way that we were building our curriculum, by changing the way that we were coaching our team members. And so we had a sense of urgency to help create a better team. We wanted to win more football matches or more soccer games. So we built our team of coaches. We built our team of players. We built our team of resources of program managers, nutritionists, sports psychologists. We had a large team of people who could help champion our success. We developed a vision of what success was going to look like. What did a successful Indian football team look like within our team? And then we communicated to the parents, to the players, to the community of how we were going to transform our Indian football teams in Bangalore. Our steps did not end there. We empowered action. We allowed other coaches, other team members, our players, other people that were that were involved in this change initiative to take action and to help improve our overall performance. We created more short-term wins. We didn't look at the overall season. We started entering into more tournaments, more scrimmages, more matches. We created these short-term wins and we started actually winning more matches. We didn't let up there. We actually continued to perform better. We continued to improve our performance. And we actually began winning games on more of an international level. We didn't want to end that change initiative right then. We actually created systems within our teams to continuously act with a bias for improvement, a bias for change throughout the academy for years to come. So here, this was a specific example of how we went through this 8-step model over and over and over again within our academy. Now, I've given you a lot of information. Had a lot of different activities. You've asked some wonderful questions throughout today. And so I want to leave you with one last story about a time whenever I was coaching football in India. And I have one of my youngest players I ever coached, mostly coached boys teams, ages 6 to about 16. So one of my youngest players was about 6 years old, and his name was Achintya. Now, Achintya was so excited for his first day of football. He on his first day, came running out onto the field and he began yelling, pass, pass, pass. Now, I noticed that Achintya was yelling pass even whenever the other team had the ball. And Achintya was yelling pass whenever he was miles away from the action. And Achintya was yelling pass even whenever he had the ball. So then he was running with the ball, going, pass, pass, pass. And so I looked at Achintya and I said, Achintya, why are you yelling pass? And he looked up at me and he said, Miss Ember, ma'am, I do not know what it means. I only know it is a football word. You know, sometimes I hear organizations and people and teams sound a little bit like my friend Achintya. Yelling change, leadership, communication, teamwork, we got this. Because we know that these are really good words that can lead to big goals. But if we're in the wrong position, if we're miles away from the action, or even if we have the ball and we don't know in which direction we're going, then saying these words are not only ineffective, but they're actually detrimental to our overall communication within the team. But we first take the time to establish that sense of urgency, to build a guiding team, to develop that vision and communicate that vision clearly with others, to empower action and create momentum through small wins, then not let up and make that change stick. Then we'll be in a position to yell pass, to receive the ball. to move forward and to score really big goals within our organizations and within our lives. I want to thank you all so much for having me here today. I want to open up to any questions. And if you have any questions specifically about change, please feel free to add me on your guiding teams list.
That's so great. Thank you so much, Amber. We really appreciate your time and just love the 8 steps. They're very, very practical for us, especially in a time of change. We are all in a great time of change, and Cerner's in a great time of change. So this is great. I love how we've had some interaction from the group along the way. And if anybody does have any additional questions, maybe you can post them and we'll see that we can get them to Amber as well, because we are at the 3 o'clock Central Time mark. Thank you again, Amber. We love having you and look forward to hearing from you. Look forward to hearing how things are going with Pathways Group. And then for everyone that has attended today, we really look forward to seeing you for May's Tech Talk that will be announced soon. All right, thanks everybody.